am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to talk about one of my childhood favorite books, Misty of the Chincoteague. A little fun fact about this book. I read it way back in elementary school, and this obviously is a really hard word for an elementary school kid to pronounce, and no one ever corrected me. This was very much not an assigned reading. This was a book that was in the school library that I just picked up and decided that I was just going to read it. And then we had one of those Scholastica book fairs, and I bought it at the book fair because I loved it so much. For my whole life, I've just been going about my whole life pronouncing it Misty of the Chincoteague. Yeah. And finally one day, because I was talking about this book, and my partner Neil was like, "That's a weird name." And I showed him the book, and he was like, "Dearest, that is not what that says." And I'm like, I know it's not. So for the first time in my entire life, I decided to go to Google Translate and hit that little button where it pronounces it for you. Chincoteague.
Chincoteague.
Chincoteague. Yep. So, always make sure you test out words that you've only read and you've never heard and you've never said them. Yeah. So yeah, Misty of the Chincoteague, or, Misty of the Chincoteague, if you want to pronounce it correctly. So this particular book, as is obvious by the cover, is about horses. I was very much a horse girl in elementary school. I loved everything horses. I would spend my summers on my family's farm where we would ride horses and hang out with the horses and ride four-wheelers and go on adventures and all that stuff. And so this one is especially interesting because it has these fun little illustrations all throughout the book. And I feel like this is a big inspiration for why I've been so adamant about having illustrations in my books that I've written, is that so many books that I grew up with had little illustrations in them. And so this more modern idea of having books that don't have pictures in them was just very disappointing to me, because I'm like, but why? Pictures are fun. There is one picture in here that I feel is very important to the story. It's right here. It's a map. This is an actual place. This is an actual place on the East Coast of the United States. So this is a story that is effectively, in kind of a way, a historical fiction, in that it's entirely fictional. This is a fictional story, but it is very much rooted in how horses were originally brought to the United States. Because here's the thing, y'all, historically, horses are not native to the United States. The Spanish actually brought horses over to the New World when they were busy conquering the Americas, aka South America, because those were the Americas that the Spaniards conquered, was South America. And then the British came to North America and conquered North America, which is why they were very confused of the Spaniards are talking about there's gold everywhere and we're not finding any gold. What is this? You're in the wrong place. But it's very interesting to see how the horse trade got its start in the United States, and how they would capture these wild horses and they would bring them over via boats across the ocean into the United States, and then also how there would be all of these wild horses just running all over tarnation in the United States as well, because of just horses being brought over by the Spaniards, being brought over by the British, being just, brought over by all kinds of people from European countries. And then, whenever they're done with them, they're just kind of oh, just be free and whatever. And a lot of these horses then got adopted by the First Nation people. There were just all these random horses living their lives, booping around. And so it was very profitable for the horse trade to go and capture wild horses rather than having to pay for them to be shipped over from Europe. And so this story is about a particular horse named Phantom. And the reason why Phantom was called that is because she was this legendary horse that nobody could catch. And she was so legendary to the point where some people weren't sure that she was actually real or not, because how is this horse just evading capture like this? Nobody really knows quite what she looks like and all that. And so the main characters, Paul and Maureen, are This is what they're all about, y'all, is they want to capture Phantom. And not only that, they want to have her for themselves. And so, lo and behold, they're able to not only capture Phantom, but also her foal, Misty. The problem is that they are a part of this group of horse traders, and when they capture them, that's part of the larger group. So they don't have ownership over these horses even though they caught them. You have all these cowboys, effectively, who are going out and capturing all these wild horses under contract of this larger horse trade group, and then they're brought to what's called Pony Penning Day. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's they bring all the wild horses to these giant horse pens, and then they're auctioned off. The people that are capturing these horses, none of them have ownership over these horses. It's to sell them. And so if you want them as one of the people who engaged in capturing the horses, you have to pay for them at the Pony Penning Day. And this is done by auction. And so they're like, oh my God, are we going to be able to afford them? And now, you know, it's not just Phantom, it's also her baby. And of course, we can't have them separated. We have to buy them both. So it's this whole adventure of working together to try and capture this legendary horse. And then can we afford to buy her because they feel this like ownership and responsibility that they're like, we don't want her to go to a bad owner. We don't want the baby to get separated, all this stuff. And it's very much a middle grade book. And it's such an adventure. It is such a fun read, y'all. I highly recommend it. It has all of these beautiful like little illustrations, like they're very like old school. Like I feel like this is the same style of illustrations that they have in the old like Charlotte's Web books, that time period of art. And it just adds so much to the story with these visuals. I have read this book numerous times as a child. It is definitely one on my list that I want to reread as an adult because I just have such fond memories of it. Of course, take everything with a grain of salt, considering the time period that it is about, as well as this is an older book. Every once in a while when I'll pick up an older book, there will be things that I come across that I'm like, whoa! So take that with a grain of salt, that sometimes older books will have older ideas in them that in today's world we don't necessarily agree with or think are appropriate. So always take that caution when reading older books. But I highly recommend this book, y'all. It is so cute. It is so fun. Honestly, it's a good read for any age, but it is definitely like a middle grade level book, like level of reading. Y'all, these pictures are so pretty. They're so pretty and fun. So, Misty of the Chincoteague. It's so hard to say. Misty of the Chincoteague. My brain doesn't want to wrap itself around it. Misty of the Chincoteague. Highly recommend, y'all. Alrighty, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like. And if you're new, subscribe. Alright, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.